Hello everyone, it's Andrew from Gem TCG here, and today's video I'll be talking about something that I hear a lot from other people in the community, and it's like, will the Pokemon or even any card game in general, or the card game as a hobby, will it ever crash? Will it ever go to zero in total? Not even on a trend basis, but literally all collectibles just die out and people just stop. So I want to give my opinion on that because being in this industry for the last 4 years, I've seen a lot of things happen and I've noticed a lot of things that strengthen my opinion on this. And I just want to see what you guys think as well. And it's, in short, I don't think it'll ever die out and become a non existent thing anymore. Now, obviously, there will always be trends and ebbs and flows where sometimes the community will be like it is now, where it's very hot and hyped. And then, of course, sometimes it'll be really slow. It was a year and a half ago. And that happens on everything. It happens with stock markets, other trends online, anything you think of. There's always ebbs and flows, but whether or not something will stay around for a decade, 2 decades, and so on, that's the more important thing. And obviously, no one can predict the future, but I think it's pretty easy to make an educated guess on it, if I had to say so. And this is my main reason on why I think it'll never go to zero and Pokemon will never, I guess, die or whatever. And any collectible card game, even sports cards, same thing. And it's for this reason alone. With social media growing so much, and now there's a bunch of AI stuff, everyone's home all the time. No one really goes out and talks with each other outside of the house or outside of social media. I think this hobby brings a lot of people together and builds a community in a world that doesn't have much of that anymore. I always see people online complaining about there's nowhere to go in person without either like spending a bunch of money or anything like that. And I think to a certain extent that is a valid complaint, but I think with card games, it's very easy to find an immediate community that enjoys the same thing that you do, which is very hard to find nowadays, I think. And even I saw one thing that said, like, instead of regular traditional group outings like going golfing or going to the bars and stuff with coworkers, people are now having Magic the Gathering nights at work, Pokemon nights, stuff like that, which is unheard of. It's never been a thing until probably recently, because now there's just so many people that are openly enjoying it. And it's not something that's seen as a kid thing or a geeky thing or whatever. And based on my experience of but having many deals with other collectors and sellers online and in person, one thing I've noticed with a lot of the people in person is a lot of them really enjoy talking about the cards. They like sharing their stories. And even in the few minutes that I'm with them, while I'm just looking through the cards that I'm buying or sending them the payment while it's all loading, they all really enjoy, or not all of them, but most of them enjoy sharing their stories and just talking about the hobby in general, talking about their collections, what cards they like, their experience with everything. And I personally think it's really cool to see people passionate about something. I hate when people are like, they don't have any passion, they don't care about anything, they just want to do the basic things for everything and not invest any mental effort into anything. So seeing people show passion or excitement about something, it makes me happy. I enjoy that. So I think that's really cool. And with that being said, I think with the things I mentioned earlier, communities aren't really as active as they've been probably when I was growing up 10 to 15 years ago. I think it's going to keep this community going more. And another good thing with the younger generation is kids nowadays they have a phone at 5 years old, or even actually some of them even earlier. They're on their iPads, on TikTok, and it's crazy, first of all. And I think having a medium for them to enjoy something that isn't a social media or something online or on a screen, I think that's a really good thing to do, because with everyone just on their phone and stuff, it's going to have a bad effect. Obviously, it's already showing that it has a bad effect, but with kids always being on their phones and having this to give them a way to have fun with something that isn't like that, I think that would be very helpful to keep the thing growing even in the long run. Because if you think about it, a lot of things that used to be in person, local, or not online are completely shifted to online stuff. And the only two examples I can think of that aren't like that are sports and hobbies, like toys, collectibles, anything like that. Because you can't, you obviously there's a Pokemon Pocket app, but you can't replicate a physical collectible or building out a collection in person and storing it and displaying it. And then another thing that I just thought of, but the whole investment side of it, I think will continue to make it go up over time and stay as a popular hobby, because we've all seen the posts where it's like the Pokemon has outperformed the S&P, and sure, it probably has, but obviously it's not like you're putting in $1 million in a Pokemon thing and then you could sell it right away to get your money back. Like, it doesn't work the same as stocks, but we know that it goes up over time. And with a lot of people making sealed product investments, collecting things and like a bunch of sealed product, yes, they are monetarily investing into it, but it also kind of makes you emotionally invested. Like, I never cared to just keep sealed boxes, but I did it because I knew that over time it would just go up in value. But when you kind of onto stuff for 2, 3 years, you become more attached to that thing, and then you want to just keep buying it. Or at least that's how it was for me. Like, bought a bunch of Sword and Shield booster boxes, and I sold some, but I still have a majority of them left, and I've been selling them to the patrons whenever they're interested in buying sealed product. But I don't want to just like have anymore, because it's fun to me to like these things and then see them go up over time. And even if they don't go up over time, which is a very likely scenario, or at least in the short term it's likely, in the long term, very high chance that it'll just continue going up. But even if it doesn't, I am fine with holding on to it or not selling it and just waiting, because it's cool to have. And I know for a lot of you guys, you'd rather see your, like, let's just say $200 invested into a booster box rather than just sitting in your bank account doing nothing. You know, like, one thing I look at it as is kind of like an equity game. I don't really care for making profit right now, but I do care about just building up a bunch of inventory so that if I ever need a lot of cash, I can just sell off inventory and then boom, I get like instant cash flow going. So that's just a little thing I thought of just now. But back to the main point is just, I think the card community will never die down. Obviously, some card games might die down. Like, it's a hot take, but I don't think One Piece is going to be a good one in the long run, because I've seen what Bandai did with Dragon Ball Super. They destroyed it, and it used to be a really popular game, but they did not handle that one properly, and it's nowhere near as popular as it used to be. So things like that, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't care, but like, I know people are going to complain now about me saying One Piece, but games can crash. MetaZoo crashed, and it became dead. I know it's like, wow, but individual card games can go to zero and get like, but things like Pokemon, Magic, all sports cards, those I don't think they will ever go to zero, because there's just so much money in it and so much community within those, like, or whatever. And I think that will continue to just keep it popular and keep them growing over time, along with those other reasons I provided earlier. So I don't think you should be worried, like, to get into the hobby, whether that's for collecting purposes or buying and selling. I think there's so many benefits to it for both of those options. And as long as you handle it properly and don't over leverage or don't go crazy and just start buying a bunch of stuff with no way to sell it, I think you will do well. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down below. Curious to see your thoughts on this. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video.